What's up, everybody? It's Daniel back for month 7 of my Startup Ortho Practice series. This is my last month living in New York City, finishing up my fellowship, so it's a really busy month here, but I was still able to make pretty good progress this month. Let's jump right into that, but first I'm just going to recap what happened in month 6. I had signed the lease earlier in the month of May, and then the landlord signed the lease at the very end of May. So now it was up to the landlord to finish that dividing wall that's gonna create the shell for my office. And then once that's done, we'll be able to move on to getting a permit and then doing the leasehold improvements for my office space. Month 7, week 1, I got some more information about Ortho 2, which is the practice management software that I decided I'm gonna go with. Not a whole lot to do yet in terms of training or implementation, but I was just starting to gather some more information and starting to think about when I want to have my training days, because you have to schedule the training days closer to when you open, or else you're gonna be paying the monthly fee. So no point doing that yet. We put that on hold for now. I also helped make sure that my banker and my accountant were put in touch and they were communicating, because they had some behind the scenes things that they had to go over together to make sure my loan and my line of credit from the bank were going to be approved. And as I mentioned before, the main things that the banker and the accountant are interested in at this point are my business plan and the projections for the next 3 to 5 years of my office. Month 7, week 2, I signed up for an Invisalign course for new grad orthodontists. I'm going to take this closer to the opening of my practice later in the year, and I think this will be a good opportunity to brush up on my aligner skills, and there's also some discounts that you can take advantage of as an Invisalign provider if you go to this course. So look out for that if you are a new grad opening up a practice. I really want my office to be tailored towards people who lead busy lives, who don't have a ton of time for appointments, but they're still interested in appointments. I just want to make things as convenient as possible for my patients. So dental monitoring, or just this idea of telehealth, that's something that I have been interested in for a couple years and I've been following. And I decided to spend this week getting in touch with a couple people. One of them was an orthodontist who was a friend of a friend, and he was really nice. He gave up some of his time to talk to me about how he's using dental monitoring in his practice and what he thinks it does well, what it doesn't do well. And I also reached out to a rep from dental monitoring, and she just started to give me some of the basics about the product, some of the studies or articles that have been published, just so I can get a sense of, is dental monitoring something that will be worth an extra expense if it's going to be able to give my patients some time back, offer some convenience to their lives. So that's something I'm beginning to explore. I'm still undecided if it's actually going to make its way into my practice, but it's a pretty cool technology that I want to learn more about. I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this in my vlog here, but my dad and I agreed to give a lecture for a continuing education series. It's a fundraising event, so it's for a good cause. It should be a great opportunity to network with some dentists. So I'm just saying this as a reminder. Try to start thinking of ways where you can connect with other dentists or even patients in your community, just because, as we know, things are slow at first for orthodontic practices. So if you can do some things to get your name out there and get some momentum going forward, I think that is only a good thing for your practice. Another thing that happened this week is we finalized the floor plan for the back half of the office, which is the clinical part of the office where the chairs are going to be, the lab, x-ray room, my office, things like that. So the reception is still in the works, but the back of the office where treatment will happen is finalized. So we got those drawings and we're able to pass them on to my general contractor, and eventually they're gonna sort of stitch together the dental part of the office and the reception for the final drawings. Another cool thing that happened this month is I was invited by ADEC, which is a big dental supply company. I was invited to go down to Nashville to see some of the equipment that I've been thinking about purchasing in person. So the cabinets, the dental chairs, the sterilization area, these are the main things, just to kind of see the colors, the materials I can choose from, and then sit in the operator's chair with the dental chair here and my cabinet right here and my rear cabinet that I'm looking at, all of that kind of simulated to see how it's gonna feel being in my future operatories. And that's coming up later in the month. And then the final thing that happened this week, on the Friday, I made a deposit for my lease, and this allowed the landlord and his contractor to go ahead and build that wall that I need to close off my office space. Week 3 of month 7, the only major thing that happened is I got a more finalized list of the equipment I'm gonna need from American Orthodontics. So this is my braces and the hand instruments that I'm gonna need. So that list was finally completed. In the final week of month 7, I had to make another down payment or deposit on my CBCT machine. So this is another really big expense. It brings up a kind of interesting challenge that I've been dealing with. It's that a lot of people want things at the same time. So the dental equipment company wants the down payment for the machine or for certain equipment, but it's kind of money that I don't really have at the moment. And then the bank hasn't given me a loan yet because they need to know which equipment I'm buying and how much it's gonna cost. And then there are some promotions to factor in. There's also like deferral of payments. So it's really, I'm finding it hard to keep track of how much this is actually gonna cost, and then being able to provide the bank with accurate numbers. I was still waiting for my projections from the accountant to come through. So it's like, I don't really know how much this is gonna cost yet exactly, and I don't have access to that money yet. Meanwhile, I have to start making payments for equipment and the lease, deposit, things like that. So I don't know if there's a better way to do it, or this is just kind of how it goes in business, where everything unfortunately happens at the same time. If you have a better way to handle this than I did, feel free to comment it down below. I'd be really curious what the suggestion is there. All this to say, it's, I think, pretty beneficial if you do have a little bit saved up, or you have access to maybe your student line of credit, just because there will be moments where the cash is gonna be kind of tight. So just a warning, hopefully you can handle this a little better than I did. All right, and then the month ends off on a fun note. So I'm finishing up in New York, which was hectic enough, but I also had to now fly out to Nashville, and there were issues with my flight getting there. So anyway, I got to Nashville. I was there for like 24 hours. I had time to go to the ADEC center where I looked at the chairs, cabinets, sterilization. We talked about certain modifications I might want, like, number of drawers, where the glove boxes are gonna go, if I need a sink, tap, things like that. So a lot of these little details, it's a lot easier just to make some decisions on the spot when you're in person with the sales reps as well. So that was a really fun trip. Even had time to go out to Nashville in the evening, which I had never done before, never been there. So this was an awesome opportunity. It was a lot of fun and a great way to end off the 7th month. The summary for month 7, the main things that happened were we finalized the dental clinical portion of the office and got those floor plans over to my general contractor. I explored dental monitoring, trying to figure out if that's going to be a good solution for my office to make treatment convenient for my patients. I finalized my equipment list. I had to make some down payments with money I don't really have. And then I got to go to Nashville to see and touch and feel the equipment in person, which was actually a pretty cool experience because since I've been in New York, meanwhile my practice is going to be in Canada, sometimes it doesn't even feel real, like this is actually happening. But to be there in person, seeing the equipment, getting a better sense of what it'll feel like to be in my future office, that was a very neat experience. So month 7 in the books, things went pretty well. If you're enjoying this series, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you back for month 8. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.